My son embarrassed me at the Led Zeppelin concert. I smiled, walked away, and then taught him a lesson he'll never forget. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like our video. It all started in the fall of 1977. My son Michael was 19 years old and had just started college. Music wasn't just a hobby for him, it was a way of life. He'd listen to Led Zeppelin in the morning, Deep Purple at noon, Black Sabbath at night. The walls of our house constantly reverberated with guitar riffs. At first, it seemed like noise, but over time I got used to it. I'll even admit, I was a fan of some of the songs, especially Jimmy Page's guitar solos. They were unlike anything else. As Michael's birthday approached, I wanted to give him a special surprise. When I found out Led Zeppelin was playing in Chicago, I bought 2 tickets. My plan was this: we would go together, have fun, and make a great memory. When he came home, I showed him the tickets. I'll never forget the look of surprise in Michael's eyes. "Dad, are you coming to the Led Zeppelin concert?" he asked. The tone of his voice made me pause for a moment. There was happiness in it, but also a hint of shyness. I smiled and said, "Of course, son, I'll be there." And at that moment, I was truly happy, because I thought this concert would bring us even closer together. And finally, the long-awaited day arrived. Quite a crowd had gathered in front of the Chicago Stadium. Everyone at the entrance was excited. The young people had posters and t-shirts in their hands, and some had already started celebrating with beer cans. I was 47 years old and stood out a bit in the crowd. But I didn't care, because I was there with my son. When we sat down, Michael's friends Tommy and Jake came over to join us. I was happy to see them. How nice, I thought. We'll share this moment with my son's friends. But right from the first meeting, I sensed that something wasn't right. When Michael introduced me, he said, "Here's my dad," but there was a strange uneasiness in his voice. It was as if he was embarrassed that I was there. My heart sank a little at that moment, but I didn't dwell on it too much. Then the lights went out. The hall suddenly erupted with screams. A deep rumble, the sound of the crowd's footsteps, then spotlights hit the stage. When Led Zeppelin took the stage, the atmosphere exploded. When Robert Plant's voice hit the microphone, my hair stood on end. John Bonham was creating thunder at the drums. Jimmy Page was setting the stage ablaze with his guitar. It was like a dream for me. As the songs came one after another, I found myself completely lost in the music. The crowd was on their feet. Everyone had their hands in the air. I stood up too, kept the beat, clapped along. At that moment, I wasn't thinking about my age, my clothes, or the looks from the young people around me. All I could think about was listening to the same songs as my son. And then it came, Stairway to Heaven. The buzz of the hall instantly turned to silence. Everyone took a deep breath when the first chord struck. My heart was racing. When Jimmy Page's guitar solo began, I lost myself. I raised my hand, closed my eyes, and got into the rhythm. All the excitement inside me spilled out. But when I opened my eyes, I noticed Michael's friends laughing. Tommy was whispering something in Michael's ear. Jake was looking at me and chuckling. Michael's face was bright red. At that moment, I sensed something was wrong, but I didn't want to drown out the music and think about it. The real break came during the short intermission between concerts. When I went to the bathroom, I caught them in front of the sink. As I washed my hands, I heard their voices. Tommy said in a mocking voice, "Dude, your dad is so funny. He's dancing like it's the first time he's ever heard music in his life." Jake added with a laugh, "And those clothes? They look like they're straight out of the 50s. But the hardest blow came from my son. I can't forget the words that came out of my son's mouth. "Yeah, he should have stayed home. Everyone is looking at us and laughing." Something inside me snapped. My hands went cold. As I left the bathroom, I still had a smile on my face, but inside I was in turmoil. My son had seen me as a source of embarrassment in front of his friends. I turned back to him and gently touched his shoulder. "Son, I'm a little tired. I'm going home," I said. He looked at me in surprise. "Dad, are you leaving the concert halfway through?" Still smiling, I said, "You enjoy yourself. I'll take a taxi." Michael hesitated for a moment, but then he seemed to feel a weight lift off his shoulders. That's when I realized he really was uncomfortable with me being there. That broke my heart even more. But when I got in the taxi to go home, I wasn't just hurt anymore. I had a plan in my head. I had to teach my son a lesson, one he would never forget. As I looked out the taxi window, the lights of Chicago hit my face. Crowded streets, laughter, concert posters in the hands of young people, but inside, I felt empty. How hard I had tried for my son, just to share that moment with him, to create a father-son memory. What did I get in return? His shame. When I got home, Sarah met me at the door. "How was the concert?" she asked. I tried to smile, but she noticed the sadness on my face right away. We went quietly into the kitchen and sat down. I told her what had happened. Michael's words, his friends' laughter, the huge emptiness I felt inside. Sarah got angry. "You can't allow this," she said. "If Michael learns to behave like this, he'll always see you as secondary. You need to teach him a lesson." At that moment, a spark lit up in my mind. As Sarah said, this wasn't just a moment of embarrassment. It was an opportunity to teach my son something he would carry with him for the rest of his life. I had to show him the value of respect, love, and family bonds. But I had to do it wisely, not angrily. Days passed. When Michael came home, I didn't mention the concert. I acted normal, as if nothing had happened. He didn't bring it up either, perhaps because he didn't want to. But deep down, I was preparing. And the opportunity came to me. Michael's birthday was approaching. I decided to surprise him. But this surprise wouldn't be like the Led Zeppelin concert. This time, it would be a gift hidden within a lesson. I secretly did some research and found out that Pink Floyd was coming to town that year. Getting tickets wasn't easy, but I managed to get VIP tickets. Believe me, when I saw that envelope, I thought to myself, this is it. This will be the key to the greatest lesson I will ever teach my son. The house was packed for the birthday party. Michael's friends, our family, our neighbors, everyone was there. The atmosphere was filled with the laughter and loud chatter of young people. When it was time to cut the cake, everyone fell silent. Applause erupted when Michael blew out the candles. At that moment, I took the envelope out of my pocket. "Michael, I have a special gift for you," I said. Everyone's eyes turned to me. Michael reached for the envelope, and his eyes lit up when he saw the tickets inside. "Dad, is this real? Pink Floyd's VIP tickets?" The room erupted in applause. Everyone was excited. Michael was practically jumping up and down with joy. "Dad, this is amazing!" he shouted, but I hadn't revealed the real surprise yet. I smiled and continued in a calm voice. "Yes, son, the tickets are real, but there's a problem. I'm not coming this time. I'm giving one to Tommy and the other to Jake. You'll stay home and watch it with us on TV." At that moment, the atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Silence, shock, then murmurs. Michael's face went blank at first, then filled with disappointment, then turned to anger. "What do you mean, Dad? Is this a joke?" he snapped. I shook my head. "No, son, it's not a joke. Last time, you were embarrassed by my presence. So this time, your friends can enjoy the concert. You can stay here with us and watch our funny dancing." Tommy and Jake's faces were all messed up. They looked at the floor to avoid eye contact. Michael stood up angrily and shouted, "This is so unfair!" But I was calm. "Unfair? You know, I went to that Led Zeppelin concert for your happiness, but you were embarrassed by me. Now it's my turn. I'm not doing this because I love you, but to teach you a lesson." At that moment, everyone in the room understood what was happening. Reality had slowly descended upon Michael. And I knew this was only the beginning. After the party ended, the house fell silent. The guests had dispersed, and only we remained in the house. Michael had shut himself in his room. I could guess how he felt at that moment. Angry, hurt, maybe even a little embarrassed. But I knew that this feeling he was experiencing was the beginning of a lesson that would shape his life in the future. At midnight, there was a soft knock on my door. When he came in, his face was flushed, his eyes were teary. "Dad, you heard what I said that night, didn't you?" he whispered. My heart ached at that moment. I looked into his eyes. "Yes, son, I heard." Michael bowed his head. "I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. In front of my friends, I just wanted to look cool, but I didn't realize I was hurting you." I looked at him for a long time. The anger inside me was long gone. It had been replaced by the love and responsibility I carried as a father. I sat down quietly beside him. "Son," I said, "if you feel ashamed of the people who love you in life, Eventually, you'll only have people around you who are trying to please you. True friendship, true love, isn't like that. I'm your father. I was there for you, but you felt ashamed to be with me. A tear rolled down my son's cheek. Dad, are you really going to give the tickets to them? He asked. I smiled. No, son, the tickets are ours. At that moment, he took a deep breath, as if a weight had been lifted from him. He hugged me, and in that embrace, I left all my resentment behind. 2 weeks later, we set off for the Pink Floyd concert. This time, Michael was completely different. In the car, he kept asking me questions and excitedly describing the songs. When the lights in the hall went out, a massive wall was built on stage. At that moment, I realized that my lesson had worked. Michael was no longer ashamed of his family. On the contrary, he was proud of it. Years passed. Michael grew up, graduated, and built his own life. Now he is a father himself. His son's name is Alex. He is 45 years old today. When I saw him on stage showing his young son the chords, I thought to myself, so the lesson I taught that night wasn't just a memory, it became a legacy. Because that's how real lessons are. Once learned, they are passed down from generation to generation. Now, when we go to concerts, 3 generations sit side by side: me, Michael, and Alex. In the crowd, at the heart of the music. Just like I imagined that day at the Led Zeppelin concert. But this time, Michael is proud to have me by his side. And yes, that night was painful for me, but it also brought us closer together, because family, even in a concert hall, is about standing side by side. Even today, when we listen to music, this sentence crosses my mind. The most beautiful concert, the biggest stage, actually takes place in the heart of the family. And that's why, even years later, I remember that Pink Floyd concert as a turning point in my life. Because it wasn't just a night of music, it was a night when a father taught his son about love, respect, and family.